It's insulting. It was degrading.
He doesn't have anything to give us. That's, decent. Like, he don't care for people. He just cares for himself.
I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling terrible because that's not true.
But they're not very happy about Donald Trump. That's one thing I can say.
We're joined now by a TV news veteran, Geraldo Rivera, who's done stints at Fox News, and you might recognize him. Hey, nice to have you. And Olivia Troy, former Trump administration's Homeland Security official. She's actually joining us as part of our special analysis and coverage of the Harris rally at the Ellipse in D.C. I can mention both of you are supporting Harris. Both of you have previously supported Donald Trump, which is interesting. Geraldo, your thoughts first on the rally and the fallout.
Well, it was crude, it was racist, it was hateful, it was vile, it was creepy. I can't believe that Donald Trump is pretending that it's all on the shoulders of the roast comedian who called the Puerto Rico the floating island of garbage. But it is interesting. And when Trump says he didn't know anything, most people would be somewhat skeptical. But you mentioned Bad Bunny, the Elvis of the Puerto Rican community. Sure. This is just from Bad Bunny. Lo que pasa es que esta raza no es pendeja. The thing is, this breed is not stupid. In other words, Puerto Ricans cannot believe that Donald Trump says that he knows nothing when he organizes everything. He was present at the event, and suddenly he see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. But one more thing, the Archbishop of San Juan and the other bishops of the island, the Archbishop of San Juan, Roberto González Nieves, is saying that the comedian not only provoked sinister laughter, but hatred. And he said that all the bishops on the island are dismayed and appalled and are demanding an apology from former President Trump. And I think that that is the very least the former president can do if he is to be believed that he knew nothing of what this comedian was going to say. At least he could apologize, say that, I knew nothing, and I'm sorry if feelings were hurt. But I don't hold your breath, Ari.
Right. And Geraldo, politically, it's unusual to get anything like this. They are clearly in damage control. We reported last night they said, oh, the comic doesn't speak for them. Now you have what you just referenced today. But you don't have a clean break or any kind of apology or accountability. You have Donald Trump, who has spent the better part of his public advocacy demeaning people and dividing by race and other means. So it's very hard after all that, and you organize a rally like that, to then try to say, oh, I'm worried about one thing that went allegedly too far. It's built on everything else. If that was over the line, half the speeches are over the line. And he lost you over Jan 6, so we've discussed that, Geraldo. He lost Olivia earlier than that. I want to play, I don't know that he's lost Megyn Kelly. She's been very supportive of him. But she also thought the rally was wrong. I mean, this is not the closing message that you would think would be helpful. Here's Megyn Kelly's criticism.
It was too brotastic, okay? It was. You're trying to win an election in which you're hemorrhaging female voters. Do they have no women advising their campaign?
Geraldo?
Well, I think that when you understand the gender gap that already exists, and it is, even more exaggerated in the Puerto Rican community, any Puerto Rican woman who would vote for this man to be president now would be, so far off the mark. It is impossible now, I believe, for President Trump to win that area, that Allentown corridor where so many Puerto Ricans have settled in the key swing state of Pennsylvania. I think that this one event, Ari, I think that this event has stopped Trump's momentum toward the finish line, absolutely. I think it has reversed it. And I think that the polls from now on will show a gradual diminution of his support. This was a catastrophe for the Trump campaign, in my opinion, Ari.
Yeah, striking. I want to go to Olivia. It's loud where you are. You're at the site of tonight's Ellipse speech. I wanted to get your thoughts on what matters about that as someone who served in government, the symbolism of that. Of course, if you want to weigh in on the prior conversation, you're welcome to. But let us know your thoughts on what you're seeing there right now.
Well, certainly I'm seeing a lot of unity here. And look, I'm a Republican for Harris sitting on the Ellipse. And I got to be honest with you, Ari, It's very emotional for me to be back on the grounds at the White House, especially in this moment, given that we're 1 week out from the election and what it means for the future of our country, the future of our democracy, and really the greater good of America. And I hope that American voters are out there, that they're paying attention to that rally and paying attention to what Trump is, because he's only gotten more dangerous. And it's been myself and others who worked with him firsthand in the White House, which is behind me right now, and I keep thinking about that and what it really means, this election, for not just America, but really for the entire world, because I think the entire world is watching in this moment. So tonight is significant. I think Kamala Harris will deliver a message that is a complete contrast to what Donald Trump has been saying this past week. And quite honestly, I do want a better future for our country and the Republican Party, because as a lifelong Republican, that was so shameful and embarrassing what happened that night. I mean, it was, frankly, it was just completely appalling.
Yeah. We have many contrasts, Olivia, because I think people know your record of service and appreciate what you're saying. And yet we're speaking about these serious matters while, if I'm not mistaken, Teach Me How to Dougie plays in the background, which we know to be a Harris Rally fan favorite, and a fun overlap with the second gentleman's name, Doug. So we got the highs and the lows, the fun and the somber. The other thing I did want to ask you about is you're there, and our viewers are looking. Well, a moment ago we were looking at where she's going to speak from. I think we can pull that back up in a moment. This site, as we've emphasized, as the Harris campaign has deliberately chosen tonight, Olivia, is of course the site where he exhorted on the people, many of whom are now still in prison, convicted of crimes. What does it mean to you, if you can hear me, what does it mean to reclaim that site in a way, to not have it only exist in the public imagination by its last infamous misuse by then outgoing president and loser of the 2020 race, Donald Trump?
Yeah, certainly the symbolism could not be lost today, and I think we are going to chart a better future for our country in this moment. And I think we need to move past that really, really horrific, dark day. And, Donald Trump is out there saying that he's going to pardon these people who attacked the U.S. Capitol. And I certainly, for one, find it to be a very emotional thing right now to process all this, because I certainly saw that my former boss's life was in danger that day. And I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. A president should never put his own vice president's life in danger. That is just something so ominous. And so today, I think it's symbolic that this is not who we are as America, that we are moving past this moment. And I think the message is we're going to unite to defeat this extremism that we're seeing across Donald Trump and his most ardent supporters in the MAGA movement. Because I think for the world and for democracy, this is really pivotal. And we're going to decide, do we survive as the America that we have been for the past centuries, or are we going to fall from grace?
Yeah. Appreciate your thoughts on that. And I think MSNBC, we can say, appreciates you being there. Even if it's loud, you're good at that part of it, too, because those live hits can be hard when it's really loud.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Olivia Troy, thank you. Geraldo, thank you.